There we go. All right. Hello. Hello. Welcome to the Purpose and Pixie Dust podcast. I am super excited for our guest on the show today, Leah. She is a manifestation mentor, and I just can't wait to hear about all the things. So, Leah, thank you so much for being on the show. Tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, all the things.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Lindsay. I'm super excited to be here. I am a manifestation mentor and a breathwork facilitator and a podcast host and author, right? Just doing all the entrepreneurial journeys and trying not to box myself in anymore because that was something I did for a long time. So, really allowing myself to be multidimensional and own really all the aspects of myself and use that to create a business that empowers women to let go of their own shame and really step into their own self-worth so they can manifest their dreamiest lives.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I love how that was like part of your intro is that you're not allowing yourself to be in a box anymore and you're allowing yourself to do all the things that you want to do, which I think is huge because a lot of people are very multi-passionate and then they get confused on like, how can I build a business when I want to do this and this and this? And it sounds like you have done it. So how did you start doing, or maybe you've done breathwork for a long time, but how did you start making this a business? When were you like, okay, I can actually monetize this?
Yeah, so I got really into the whole like spiritual journey, the whole mindset journey, almost 5 years ago. And I started journaling every day. I started doing meditation every day. And then shortly after that, I discovered breath work. And it was just changing my life so rapidly. I was in a corporate job at the time, really like climbing my way up the ladder, really hustling for my worth. I can't emphasize that enough. It was what my entire life was about. And so, yeah, I started a little blog just as kind of a passion project and an Instagram page. But then I discovered life coaching and I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can turn this into a business and I can do it something that feels so passionful and so purposeful instead of working at this sales job, selling something I really don't believe in and, trying so hard to fit into what they want me to be and all those things. So I started building a business as a life coach, started getting certified, eventually got certified in breath work as well. Started off teaching meditation more so, but yeah. And then I was doing in-person stuff a lot for a while. I've done several retreats, kind of moving away from that a little bit as I'm entering the journey of motherhood. So I'm moving more into the online space now, really prioritizing that. Yeah, it's been a journey.
I love that. I love hearing people's journeys. Like, and I say that every single show when I am talking to people because literally everyone's story I feel like is so magical and individualized and it's all a part of the process. And I think that's such an important reminder is like you're not going to just wake up today and you have the exact same business that you're going to have in 10 years or whatever. Like your life is meant to not look the same all the time, which I think is really cool. So, what is breath work? I don't think I have actually had someone on the podcast speaking exactly about what breath work is. And so, for my listener listening, I have participated in breath work before. I've done breath work, but for someone listening and they're like, what is breath work? Can you give like just a quick explanation on what that is and maybe how that's impacted your life?
Yeah, totally. So breathwork is just breathing in specific patterns. There's so many different ways to do it, so many different patterns that are available. Some are very similar but go by all different names. There's like people who've like trademarked different names, like the Wim Hof method is one a lot of people have heard about. So there's tons of different modalities really of just different breathing techniques, and they each serve unique purposes. They activate different parts of our body. But they do a range of things from improving our, oh my gosh, like our immune health, our respiratory health, our cardiovascular health, so many things on the health spectrum. And then the other side is really the emotional piece. And this is what I really specialize in and what I really became certified in breathwork to help people with is the fact that this practice helps you to release stuck emotions. So we go through our whole lives storing emotions up inside of us because we don't want to feel them or we felt shame around feeling them, right? We're not supposed to cry. We're supposed to be strong and all this bullshit. So yeah, breathwork helps you to release those trapped emotions that are physically inside of our bodies. And that leads us to living a life where you're less triggered, less reactive. Because when we're triggered by something, it's just something is rubbing up against a stuck emotion that we have not released, that we have not processed. So when you do breath work enough, and this is what I saw in my own journey and what I see in so many of my clients and students, is you practice breath work and slowly over time you're releasing these stuck energies. You're becoming a more calm person. You're relaxing your nervous system. You're less reactive. You're less easily triggered. Things that used to make you fly off the handle now make you just kind of giggle and move on. And it's just so powerful.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great I'm like, "Okay, now I need to go do some breath work." So do you incorporate this into your practice daily? Do you encourage people to do it daily once they get into the, the method? I don't know if method's the right word, but get in the groove of doing it every day? Or is this something that, like, you could do when you're just feeling a certain way? What's kind of your recommendation?
I mean, daily is absolutely fabulous. I probably spend 5 minutes a day doing breath work,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
10, so it's not, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. So it could be, a few minutes before bed of just a gentle exercise. But even if you do it once a week, it's going to change your life over time. So it doesn't, I don't like to say like everyone needs to do this every day, because
Right.
that's not realistic, right? We don't
Mhm.
typically stick to things like that unless we're
Yeah.
really determined and we really have a strong desire. But and then there's like your more strong modalities. So for example, conscious connected breath work, which is my favorite to teach. This is like a much deeper practice. It's a longer session. You're breathing in a specific strong and fast breathing method for 20 to 30 minutes, and there's like time
Mhm.
to integrate afterwards. So it's a longer session. And
Yeah.
I would love people to try to do that once a month and just really
Okay.
clear things on a deep level.
Yeah.
Um, and people have experiences with this where they did it one time and it was profound and something really shift or clicked for them. But in general, like it does, like most things, it just doesn't yield overnight results. So typically it's incorporating it into your life in some capacity.
I love that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the type of breath work that I did in the fall. One of my friends was getting certified, and it was very interesting. Like there were times where I was like, I feel like my arms were like going numb. It was like such a weird experience. And when I first was getting started with her, she's like, some people have experiences with breath work and like they get physically sick. So she's like, don't eat food for like an hour. And I was like, wait, what am I getting ready to do right now? Like, what is happening? And that was so interesting to me. So I love how you point out like there's all different kinds of ways that you can do breath work. Sometimes it's even before bed or whatever works for you in your practice. I love that. So let's talk about Manifestation Mentor. What does that entail? And for the listener listening to this again, who has no idea, what is manifestation and how can we use that in our life?
Yeah. So manifestation is really, it's really just bringing your goals, dreams, things that you're imagining in your mind into reality. That's all the term
Mhm.
really means. Typically, we're talking about using the law of attraction to do this, to kind of speed up this process of achieving your goals, of achieving the ways you want to feel and the life you desire to live. So, um, the law of attraction basically states that like attracts like. So we are all made of energy. And so earlier when I was talking about emotions getting stuck in the body, emotions are energy. There's a chemical reaction that occurs when we have a thought. And a neuropeptide is released in our body that creates this chemical reaction that creates an emotion. So it's all energetic. Our body is made of energy. And so we're vibrational energetic beings in an energetic world. Everything around us is the same, right? We're all made of the same atoms and molecules and whatever. So when we essentially what manifestation is all about, and what I do as a mentor is I'm helping people to align themselves energetically, which is the same as emotionally, with their desires. So for those people who are listening who are like, yeah, I know about this. I've been reading the books, I've been doing the things, I've been trying to make this work, and maybe it feels like it's not that easy. What often happens is we're focused on this goal that we want to achieve or this way we want to feel. And we're focused on it, we're focused on it, focused on it, but we're focused on it's not here yet. Why isn't it here yet? Why isn't
Mm.
it working? That can become our dominant vibration, our dominant emotion. And
Mhm.
so then we're just attracting more of like that waiting period or that not happening yet. So the idea is getting yourself into alignment with how would you feel if you already had this thing? You know, you want more money. Why? What do you think it's going to make you feel? Can you feel that way now? That is the entire job of manifestation. Feeling that way now, embodying that now in whatever way you possibly can. And there's many different ways to go out doing this, but feeling that way now is how you become an energetic match to pull in what you desire.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is a beautiful explanation of that. I was just like thinking because I was just talking to someone, I think it was last night, about that feeling of not being where you want to be yet. And like you said, then you are attracting more of that instead of attracting the thing that you actually really desire because you're focused on the why are you not there yet piece of it.
Yeah. It's like the most common thing that holds us back, I feel.
Mm. So how can we apply that to our business with manifesting what we want in our business?
Yeah. So something that I feel like people will really relate to is the feeling of, well, what we just talked about. Where is it? Why isn't it happening yet? Why isn't it happening as fast as I wanted it to? And this shows up in so many ways in online businesses. It's really challenging. You know, I worked in sales prior to my business and I was a sales manager. So I was mentoring my sales team on something very similar to running an online business, although it was, you know, door to door selling uniforms and floor mats, like door to door to businesses, right? So it was different, but it was the same. It was the same fears that would come up. It was the same insecurities and confidence things, and constantly being scrutinized on metrics. And so for us with the online business, that's like, why why am I not getting more views on my reels? Why are my reels not going viral? Why am I not getting more followers? Like, what am I doing wrong? Right? We're focusing on what are we doing wrong? We're trying to find that missing piece. And while there's definitely like a strategic element, of course, to business, and it makes sense to study and do market research and things like that, but it's like balancing it with the manifestation side, which is what I would work with my clients on is, can you do those practical strategic things 50%, and then 50% is your energy, is your emotion,
Mm.
is you believing I I, I do not care how many likes I get today. Like that doesn't have anything to do with my worth. People are still obsessed with me. People are buying. They always are. I'm always making money, right? Leaning into that feeling.
Mhm.
And so another piece of this is the reticular activating system, which is the part of the brain that filters information coming in. So, you know, like I'm pregnant, and my husband was like, "It's so funny. Everyone's pregnant now, but like people aren't pregnant more, right? Like the
Right.
TV shows we're watching and this and that." And no, it's not that like the population has become more pregnant. It's that our reticular activating systems are focused on pregnancy.
Aware
So
on it.
it's
Yeah.
out to us, right? It's so interesting. And so this happens with everything. This happens with our
Mhm.
businesses. If we're focused on and our dominant vibration is on, it's not working, people aren't coming to my page, people don't like me, people aren't buying from me, our brain's going to automatically find us evidence of that. And evidence can be found for anything you want to, right?
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
people who believe in like really, really out there conspiracy theories, right? Like I believe in some things that people consider conspiracy theories for sure, but like things
Mhm.
that are just so like birds are like spies of the government, right? Like things like that. Like they have found evidence of that somewhere,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because they're focusing on it. So getting ourselves into alignment with focusing on, it is working. Of course it's working. It is working. It is meant for me. It is mine. It is here. It is here now. Switches your brain to find you that validation and that confirmation. And that is what keeps you going in the online business to then get to that result in real life.
Yeah, that's yeah, because and it's almost like what some people blanket call your mindset, because mindset I feel like is just thrown around so much, in the online space, but in the business world, but there is so much truth to that, like you said, with the manifesting, like, you have to not only believe it, but then take that belief and then create the action, and I think that's where sometimes we can feel either misaligned or like we have a lot of belief, but then we're not making the action. Like there can be a definite disconnect in those two things. So when you've been working with people, I'm just curious, when you do see that disconnect, what is it usually either caused from, or maybe even if you don't know what it's caused from, like how can you get them more aligned where like we believe it and we're taking the action on it, like both of them together?
Yeah. What I tend to see, it's very rare to, and I don't think I've ever seen this actually, where you're really, really feeling energetically aligned with it's working. You're really believing in it. You're really feeling good about it, and you're not taking action. To me, that
Mm,
like doesn't exist. Now,
yeah.
how much action you should take, of course, varies depending on whatever you're measuring that on, right? But I've
Right.
never had a client where they were fully in their confidence, fully embodying this is working, I feel great, and they're just not taking action. That's
Mm,
never the thing. The
yeah.
thing is almost always either taking lots of action, but there's not necessarily the confidence behind it, the belief behind it, or taking inconsistent action more commonly, right? Being because there's fear and there's self-sabotage. That's probably the most common thing is we're lacking the confidence piece, the belief piece. And so it becomes hard to then show up
Yeah.
for a launch every day or every other day for 4 weeks because
Mm,
our mind is subconsciously saying to us, "Ah, but it's not working. Isn't this kind of embarrassing? Like, what if no one signs up and I put all this effort into this? And won't
yeah.
I be less disappointed if I just kind of stop sharing this now?" Right. So it's a self sabotage pattern that just shrinks us and pulls us away from really putting our juiciest content forward because we're afraid.
Yeah.
That's what I see almost all the time.
I 100% believe that because I have done that myself and I see it with my clients as well. And especially I feel like as women, like that is a huge thing that holds us back is that fear piece. Do you ever see women afraid of success? Because I hear a lot of fear of failure, um, and not as much fear of success, but I definitely have seen it. So I'm just curious, how are those two different, or are they kind of energetically the same? And we can self correct them the same sort of way.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. So like thought provoking because like they are kind of the same thing because it's
Mhm.
all just fear. I
Right.
would say for me, I have probably more of a fear of success
Mhm.
because my deep underlying fear that holds me back from my next level, because right, new levels, new devils, there's always, I believe, if there's somewhere you want to go and you're not there yet, it's because there's a self sabotage pattern running and you got to find that, right? And so for me, it's being seen.
Mm.
So it's always been being seen, but I moved through, some levels of being seen to different degrees.
Yeah.
And I can feel that I hold myself back from going to that next step, being seen at a bigger level, being seen by more eyeballs, more judgment, more criticism that could come with that, etc. And yeah, it's all just identifying our personal brand of self-sabotage. And for fear of success in the online space, I do think that's pretty much what it is for most of us. It's being seen, being judged, being canceled, family and like being maybe we're just holding back some content that we really want to speak about, but it's a little bit out there. And our friends and family might not get it or might be offended. That's a really, really common one too. And then there's a fear of making, quote, too much money because a
Yeah.
lot of us grew up being told, I mean, was me. Um, Rich people are the reason we're poor. Like rich people cause a lot of problems. Apparently,
Yeah.
so do poor people, obviously. But a lot of us grew up being told, like, let's hate the
There's so
rich.
many stories. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big one too.
What about fear of the unknown? I feel like too, one of the common things that I have seen is you're comfortable where you're at. And if you put yourself out there, you don't know what that next level holds. Maybe it could be more time, maybe it could be more, energy pulled from you and you feel like you don't have that energy for that capacity. How could we move past that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, such a good point. Because that's what I feel like. That's why I feel like it is the same. Whether it's fear of success or fear of
Mhm.
failure, it's all just fear of change.
Yeah,
Like our
yeah,
brain hates change and wants us to just stay in the comfort zone and begs us to stay in the comfort zone. And I
yeah.
actually wrote a whole book about this. My memoir, Confessions of an Uncaged Soul, is essentially about leaving the comfort zone and playing on your edges
Mm,
and moving through the discomfort. Um, but it's, I think, the most practical way to practice this is noticing when you're on that edge. Like, I'm on that edge constantly. I'm
yeah,
constantly sharing things that scare me. I'm constantly pushing through that feeling of, oh, do I really want to post this? But I do it anyways every single time because I'm constantly, that's where I like to be, is that edge, because I
yeah.
know that the life I desire is not inside my comfort zone, it's outside of it. So that is like such a
Mhm.
good point.
Yeah, yeah, I love that analogy, like, of being well, and in my mind, I was thinking you were saying, like, being inside your cage versus, like, going outside your cage, but, like, you have to do that or else you're gonna be stay stuck to, where you're at. So I'm just curious because you're getting ready to is this your first baby that you're getting ready to have?
Yeah, first
Uh,
baby.
oh, well, congratulations. So, what sort of for my business owners out there, I have a lot of business owners who are mamas or hope to be. What sorts of things are you doing in your business now to kind of prep for, that time away once you have your baby?
Yeah. So I've been kind of, I haven't been, so I only decided I wanted a baby last October, and then I got pregnant at the end of December. So I haven't been preparing for this for years, but for years, my intention, my vision for my business has been scaling the business while working less, scaling the business while having less live calls, right? So, like, very much a focus on digital courses, monetizing my podcast. I'd love a good brand partnership where I get paid to post something on Instagram. Like, that's kind of been my vision for so long. Um, Passive income, right? Like, we all love it. So yeah, I've been kind of building towards this for a long time, just with this vision in mind of just so much freedom. And before I wanted a child, that was like I wanted to travel the world all the time and just like work remotely. And now it's obviously more like being able to spend time with my child, work a little bit throughout the day, and yes, I'm going to have times when I also have in-home childcare, to be able to do podcast interviews, my own podcast, client calls, etc. But really, I've been prioritizing, growing my audience so I can get more of those brand partnerships, and same with my podcast, and looking for those opportunities. That's just been
I love that.
my vision.
Yeah. Oh, that's so smart. And I love how that was your vision and without the child piece. And now it fits perfectly in like your why behind it. And you didn't even quite know it yet. Like you thought it was for traveling, but really it was for starting your family, which is so fun.
Yeah.
I don't think we've had anyone on here to talk about brand partnerships before. So I'm just curious if you would mind sharing a little bit. So are you doing brand partnerships like on Instagram and promoting products that way? Are you doing them like through your email list, podcast? What has that looked like for you so far?
Yeah. So I haven't done a ton of this over the years. I mean, there's been definitely different random times when I've had podcast sponsorships. Now I have one that's more steady, but I've never actually like gone looking for them. And that is totally a strategy that people can do. You can
Mhm.
totally go looking for them. There's lots of websites you can use. I can't think of one of them are called off the top of my head, but I'm on a few websites where they send me emails, and it's like, here's an Instagram, for example, like brand partnership, and you can apply for it, and you get paid to post a product or whatever. And I have a very specific brand where I'm not going to post things that are off brand, right? So I only do things that feel really aligned. Um, but so you can go looking for them. Some people do this with like travel, right? Like reaching out to places you desire to travel to, find hotels, and you'll make a reel about your experience at the hotel, and they'll get to stay there for free. So you can absolutely do that. You can do outreach. For podcast sponsorships, I've used the website Podcorn. to find some paying sponsors over the years, which has been really good. But most of it has been really me just aligning my energy and focusing on growing my audience and inviting in those opportunities. So most of the ones that
Love that.
recently have just come in. But yeah, it's absolutely something you can do is outreach too.
Yeah, I love that. That's so smart. And I've seen people, for everyone listening that aren't even like I don't even know that they have a business, but they have been doing like brand partnerships on Instagram or, and they'll say like hashtag ad. And I'm like, oh, look at you getting some sponsorships. Everyone's monetizing now, which I really love. And I think it's so smart. My sister actually was just asking me about partnerships for my podcast. And I told her, I was like, I have had some, but not consistently. And I'm like, I need to make that a priority this summer because why not? Like, we already have this amazing platform. Why not be adding some of that in as business owners? It's just a smart thing to do.
Absolutely.
And you never know when you're going to want that more passive income, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
So, one last question for the person listening who's like, okay, all of this is completely brand new to me. I don't manifest or I don't knowingly manifest. I don't do breath work. Would you recommend starting with like a really small practice? If someone's like, I really want to take a little bit more control of my life and my destiny, what could that practice look like? What would be like your first step?
Hmm. I mean, so in terms of breath work, so I do have the Breath Portal, which is a membership site. It's $27 a month. There's a free trial. You can hop in there and do breath work videos. Some are like 5 minutes long. So very like, you don't have to commit to anything crazy with those videos. For in terms of the manifestation side and just like kind of stepping into that alignment, journaling for me is hands down the best. I have 2 published journals on Amazon that are guided journals to like walk you through this. One is called Heal Your Shit, and the other is called Dear Me, You're Awesome. So more like self-worth and self-love. But you can also just crack out a journal or a notebook and just start the habit of once a day, just for a few minutes, just writing in it. And you'll notice this with breath work too. Like whatever you decide to do, anything new, you'll notice this resistance, right? You're going to have a resistance. Your mind's going to say, oh, maybe later. I don't have time for that. Or I don't know what to write. It's going to give you any reason to not do the new thing, right? Because it wants you to stay in that comfort zone. But just practice writing. Write a gratitude list. I love to write a list of positive what ifs. So like, what if I get a new brand sponsorship reach out today? Right? Like I'll just write like
Oh, I love that.
what could come, like what could happen. And it just gets your mind excited and in a high vibrational state, and it gets you looking for opportunities. So yeah, those are 2 of my favorite go-to journaling is gratitude list and like a list of positive what ifs. Because our
Oh, I
mind
love that.
is looking for negative what ifs, right?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, when you first said what if, I'm like, I always think of like the what if this happens and something goes wrong. And it's really that self-awareness and then training yourself to do, but what if it goes right? What if this happened? I love that. That's really fun. I'm going to do that exercise when we get off here, actually. I'm like, oh, I need some of that energy in my life for sure. I'm just curious, what is the best personal development or professional development book that you have either read or maybe one you're currently reading?
Oh,
I
I've
know it's
read.
such a hard question. Everyone always hates this question.
Okay, one that I love that will really apply for those of you listening who do the online business thing or aspire to or anything creative based is Big Magic by Elizabeth
Mm.
Gilbert. Have you read that one?
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh!" I started reading it in like 2016 before I was woo or anything, and I only read like a chapter, and I did not like it. So I actually own it, and you are the second person recently who said that it's their favorite book. So I need to go back and read it again,
Well,
give
it's
it
funny
another try.
how that happens because I've done that too with books where I'm just not into it. And then I pick it up later and I'm like, wow. So
So
it is,
good.
oh my gosh, that book, I read it cover to cover twice. It helped me write my book because
Okay.
it's all about moving through the fear and the discomfort. But I love her. This is the woman, by the way, Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, which at the
Mm.
time she was like, a moderately struggling writer. And then overnight now, not overnight, but she wrote this
Right.
book, and it's like, obviously there's a movie, and it's a huge, huge deal.
Yeah.
But she writes about the process of allowing yourself to be creative and fail and not make it
Mm.
mean anything, and put things out there without the expectations, and keep going and not expect things to be an overnight success. And it's just so good.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Then I definitely, this is like a sign from the universe that I need to go back and read it. Cause like I said, I have it. I own it. Like, and that was at the very beginning of my personal development journey. I like read a book and I really liked it. And then I don't remember how I found that one. I think I saw the word magic and it has a pretty cover and I was like, "Ooh, I want that one." And it just was not the right time for me to read it, but I definitely need to go back
Mhm.
and give it another try for sure. Okay, I'm just curious as well. This is the last question. Do you have a morning routine, a nighttime routine, neither, both? What's your jam?
Yeah, so I have both. Well, yeah, mostly both. So in the morning, I like to just immediately go and read for a little bit. And then sometimes I'll journal at that point, but sometimes I wait to journal until right before I start my work day, because
Mm.
journaling for me often ends up turning into like business stuff, and I get
Uh,
really excited, and then I just want to go. So I
yeah.
often hold off until I'm done with my other morning stuff. So I'll do some reading, and then I always do some yoga and some breath work. So that's like kind of my always morning routine: reading and yoga and breath work, at least currently. And then right before bed, I do just a few minutes of meditation and maybe some breath work too, especially if I'm feeling like I need a little help with like allergies or my
Mm.
mind's kind of racing. I'll incorporate some breath work for that.
Awesome. Wait, breath work can help with your allergies?
Yes, immensely.
What? What?
Big time. I used to take allergy medication, and now I don't.
You're kidding me. Okay. I've got to look into this more.
Big time. Anything
Yeah.
respiratory related. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is insane. Okay. That just like blew my mind. All right. So Leah, thank you so much for all of this. I really appreciate it. Tell everyone how can they work with you? Where can they find you? And I will be sure all this is in the show notes too.
Yeah. So come hang with me on Instagram, at it's Leah Pardee. My website is leahpardee.com, and you can just type my name in anywhere and you'll find something I've created, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So if you are listening to this, please take a screenshot, share this on your Instagram, tag both of us. We would love to chat with you a little bit more. And Leah, again, thanks so much for your time. This was a really awesome conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome.